Okay. So, what are some other stories that you have about evacuation during World War II?
Well, about a year or 18 months before we went to Ireland, we found ourselves in Lincolnshire at a small village. Now, this village consisted of one road which led off the highway, and either side were houses, and at the far end was a public house, which is an inn. And we found ourselves in the inn, in this pub.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Tell. Mr. Tell was the publican. One of the nice things there is not only did they have the ground that the pub was on, but they also had a field alongside of it, and across the other side was another field which they had. So they grew potatoes on one. They had they kept chickens. They had a pig, which they kept in the sty at the end of the garden, and they killed once a year. Had a butcher bring it in and cure it and everything. On the other side of the road was they have walnut trees, which is pretty exotic actually. I'd never seen walnut trees before, but I mean they had it and they harvested it each year. So they had plenty of eggs. Remember, we had very strict rationing at that time. But when we got there, of course, they had their own chickens. So one of the things, their signature dish, was Yorkshire pudding, which is made with flour and eggs. And she would put a dozen eggs in.
Wow.
Now, our ration at that time was 1 egg per person per week.
Wow.
And here we were, every Sunday we would have it, you know, and that. So, and of course with the pork, you know, we got lots of meat which we didn't get before. So, you know, now the pub actually was a little bit of a centre for the village. Now the village wasn't that big, but they did have a hall attached to the pub.
Okay.
And it was used as the home guard.
The home guard?
Yeah. Home guard were people that were not called up during the war, usually older persons or people in protected professions. So, but if the enemy had landed, they were the first line of defense.
Oh, okay. So they had some training,
Yeah,
of course.
so it was a bit of a ragtag thing. But they had this Gatling gun, which was a leftover, I think, from 1890. Once a week on Thursdays, no, twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, they would come in, dismantle the Gatling gun, put it together again, and then go in the pub.
Just to stay current.
That's right, yeah. Now, at the same time, a lot of the farm workers got called up for the forces. So, of course, the farmers needed extra help. So they formed what they called the Land Army. So we had the Land Army girls. And they had a uniform, actually, with leather boots up to their knee, and bloused out bloomers like like you see. I'm not describing very well, but anyway, they were the Land Army girls. So.
And what color was it? Denim or?
No, it was like a khaki, I think
Okay.
it was. Yeah. Anyway, they would come into the pub. So then you'd have the home guard, everything else in. Now, a few miles away was a prisoner of war camp.
What?
With the Germans in it.
There was a prisoner of war camp.
Prisoner of war camp.
Wow.
And this is where captured Germans, you know, airmen that have been shot down, some that have been captured at the front, and this is... Now, the commandant at that camp at that time said to them, look, I send some of you can go down to the pub as long as you promise to come back. So there will be the home guard. You watch a dart match, you'd see the home guard go up, see the the land army go, the German prisoners. And of course they would go back to this. They always went back because they knew it would stop
Right.
if they ran away.
The privilege, yeah. So they were going in, were they having, like, did they serve a meal or were they just drinking?
Oh,
or?
no, they didn't serve meals in those days.
Oh, it was just a
they
drink.
do now, but it was just drinking. Actually, it's kind of a far-fetched kind of tale, and any time I used to say it, I used to feel that people were believing me.
Yeah.
Because it was so bizarre. But then about, quite a few years ago now, I guess it's about 15 or 20 years ago, I happened to read an obituary about a chap who had been an army officer, there was an obituary in the paper. And he'd been in the army and this, that and the other, and they said that during the war he was in charge of a prisoner of war camp, and he allowed the prisoners to go out to the pub.
And that was in the region where you were, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
you
anyway,
felt it was that.
I cut this thing out. I thought, got it. And now I know, but now I've lost it. So.
Oh, interesting.
But it was a amusing incident. Yeah.
Thank you.